Yeah, it does.
That means they've got a competition committee, something or other.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going on.
Ready?
I can be.
What were your kind of thoughts, obviously, on Le'Veon, and how do you see him moving in that offense?
Well, like I kind of said this before, where I didn't dive too deep into it heading into free agency. I think it's pretty well documented what kind of player he's been over his career. You know, so much of it, try not to get too excited because it's free agency's. It's a bizarre kind of exercise to go through because, you know, you're one of 32. You never really know what the player's thinking. You don't know if he really wants to come to you and the money. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So when a player like that is out there and there's a possibility that a lot of other teams can be involved, you don't want to get too excited, spend too much time. You know the guys. You know he's a good player, and you know since we've signed him, you know I know not only myself but a lot of the offensive staff has really dove into watching a ton of his film. We just want to make sure that we are on it with what he likes to do in the run game, how he kind of his patience is unique, and you know you don't see what he does a lot. And then just trying to be creative in the passing game. I think we're just going to try to make sure that I don't want to put him in a box. I want him to try as much stuff as he possibly can. I know he's going to be learning a new offense, and he's going to be, you know, trying to figure out some of the stuff that, you know, is new verbiage and just kind of schematic things. And at the same time, you know, first time he's been with a team in a year. You know, it's one thing to train on your own. It's another thing to kind of get with your guys, get with the strength and conditioning staff, you know, other players. Like when those guys are running, I mean, there's still that competition, so those guys push each other. So it's probably going to take a second for them to kind of get going in the phases, and then once it's all about making sure that we get everybody ready to go for OTAs.
Adam, how much do you have to change or alter your offense to suit his skill set, or does he have to conform more to?
No, it's not really that. It's really, I always look at it like this, especially when we start the year. We have a blueprint, but it's in pencil, and we're able to move and shift kind of in the direction of the strength of our players. Really, what he does, we'll easily be able to adapt to what he does in the run game. You know, it's just going to take more of the chemistry part of line, him, quarterback, receivers, tight end, everybody just getting used to playing with each other, and the certain run schemes that he's really good at. And we'd be fools to not do those, you know. And in the passing game, it's just nothing different for us. I mean, we're just going to try to be as creative as we can and put them in different spots, and then use all those other guys. It makes it very flexible for us to be able to move our guys around.
How mindful will you be about his usage? Obviously, I know he's looking for a contract, but that was a concern for him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt like I have a good feel of when a guy is either fatigued or we're heading in a direction of maybe we're wearing him down. I think we'll start early to where there'll be, you know, a certain amount of reps that we use. I mean, he is a running back. He is a veteran running back that plays a position that's very, very physical. You know, you can wear a guy out with too many rushes, too many touches, too many snaps, and too many practice snaps. And you know, we'll keep an eye on that. This is not going to be where we burn him out in the first 6 months. You know, like we're aware of that. I feel like in this system we've always taken care of those backs and made sure we used them the right way in practice. And then in the games, that's why I've always historically used a lot of running backs.
What can a guy with his skill set mean for Sam as he enters year 2?
I think anytime that you put another veteran player with a young quarterback, I think that's a positive, especially a guy that's been on a team that's been a playoff team, been in part of an organization that's consistently won. You know, he knows what it looks like. He knows what you have to do day in and day out, practices, meeting, you know, preparing for the season, in-season preparation. I think anytime that you add a guy like that, that's a positive.
You mentioned historically using a lot of running backs. I mean, do you feel like with Eli and Trenton you have enough there right now, or do you need another complement there?
You know, at this stage of the game, I always look at it like this. We still have the draft. You know, you still have waiver claims. You know, I'm talking about a lot of guys that I've never seen play in person. You know, at least looking at it from my vantage point. You know, I mean, I've been on the other sideline. This is different. So really, for me, it's the evaluation for me comes when we start actually going, getting in meetings. I mean, I can act like I know all these guys, but really right now it's on a piece of paper. It's like I haven't had to been able to have a meeting with them yet. Like, am I excited that those two guys are on the roster moving forward right now? Absolutely. You know, I see a lot of things that I like, and I think it's just going to be about, you know, the time on task now of kind of how does this all put together. But with the draft still available in the waiver wire, you know, for, you know, post-training camp cuts, I think there's just a lot of flexibility. I think we have a lot of possible moving parts going forward.
Le'Veon spoke pretty highly. You did an interview with Sports Illustrated, and you were kind of one of the reasons that he talked a lot about joining New York, why he's excited, how when you met you felt like you guys wanted, and even playing to talk to him, one kind of thing. Did you get that same sense? I mean, like when you guys met, did you hit it off right away?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk to him forever because, I mean, you know, he had to do a physical, sign his like just had a lot of things going on, tour the building, meeting coaches. It was just a lot for him in a short period of time. You know, when he got back from his physical, I just made sure I was out there. We kind of joked about it as the Michigan State connection there. You know, we got that going for us, and we just kind of he was down in the area of where I was living, so we were just kind of talking about that, where he was training, who he was training with, and stuff. And you know, it wasn't a long conversation. I just wanted to make sure that he felt good coming into the building. That's why I wanted to make sure that he saw me first and felt comfortable, and because I knew it was going to be one of those days where it was just like one thing after another, to where, you know, that can get a little tedious for anybody.
Is it a relief to not have to prepare twice every year for Gronkowski?
I'll believe it when I see it. When he's not out there, I'll believe it.
It's a good chance of.
I don't know, but I'll just. He's tough to play against, and that's. You know, if he's really retired, he was a great player in this league, and you know he's a Hall of Fame player, and he's a tough matchup for every team that he played. You know, every time you'd see him, you knew he was going to make a play. If it was a big game, he was going to be a part of it.
And what makes you think you have to see it to believe it?
Just because anytime a great player says he's retiring, you want to see it before you really believe it sometimes.
Hey, Coach, what does it mean to get a running back like Lev Bell? And was there any reservation at all about the fact that he had missed that season, sat out all season?
No, there was no reservation. You know, I think it's not like he was like 35, you know, and retired and came back. And you know, we felt good about that. And you know, I just feel like he's the type of guy that he's really going to help our offense. He's really going to help our situation. You know, he's a guy that can do multiple things. And I think it's hard to find running backs like that. And I think it's hard to find guys that are that size with his ability. It's just he's a rare player.
What's the key in building a culture with a team, and how much does that factor into your decisions in free agency and the draft and that kind of thing?
You know, this is a discussion that, you know, we had right from the get-go. You know, we tried to do the right thing, and you know, my previous stop. You know, to me, I always look at it as you'd love to get as many football-first guys as possible, guys that, you know, put the team first, want to make sure that everything's done the right way throughout a day, on and off the field, and guys that kind of create that culture to where it's almost like when they leave the building, they're still finding ways to be around each other. You know, that was something I felt like that was happening last year with the team I was with, where guys were spending time outside the building, and there was a good connection with, you know, a lot of different position groups. And you know, I think we're trying to do a lot of similar things. I think we're trying to make some tweaks with probably a little bit of the model that we started, and just kind of it's a different setup for us, which is sometimes a good thing. You know, we're in a different area of the country, and I think we are still looking for those guys that are football first, that are all about winning, you know, making sure that they do their part to where when we hit Sundays, they're accountable to the rest of the guys.
What kind of a player is Crowder, Jamison Crowder? So, he had some success in Washington, but he wasn't a massive household name. So when you guys got him and made a priority assignment, what do you see in him?
I mean, I think it's hard to. Everybody's looking for the Wes Welker numbers from like when he was with New England in that 07, kind of 06 or 07, 08, 09, those runs where it was 112 catches and just killing it, right? I think really nowadays you're looking at these slot guys because teams have figured out like we're not going to put a linebacker on them, like the nickel's important. So we're going to have a guy that's a DB that's built to cover that spot. So now you see those guys more in like the 70 to 90 catches. It's kind of dipped down. I mean, these guys are the move and change guys. They got to be the guys that just go between the numbers and they're tough. They're just fearless. There has to be an element of fearlessness to you. And I think he checks all those boxes. I think he has something unique as far as he has an explosiveness after the catch that you don't see a ton. A lot of the slot players historically have been not guys that are threats down the field, and he's actually a threat down the field, but at the same time he can catch it and create, which is going to be interesting for us because we've never had a guy that really can juice it up like he can, and he does have some flexibility to do some outside stuff. So that'll be, once again, like he's another guy. We're not trying to like say here's your box and that's it. We want to make sure that we exert everything and try to do him at as many things as possible.
I know you said you don't want to box him in, but how important was he for you guys, just given kind of how much you like to use that slot position?
Yeah, that spot's important for us. Really kind of creates the tempo of the offense. That guy, if you want to do, be on the ball, if you want to go fast pace, like that guy's the guy that moves all the time. So he's just got to have that sense of urgency about him and constantly, if he's on the right side and then all of a sudden he's got to go left side, he's just got to be aware. He's constantly got to be into the game. He's got to understand, kind of like he has to understand the game like a quarterback understands the game. So, the best ones I've been around, they just naturally have that. They understand the flow of the game. They know how to set the tempo of the game. And, I feel like he's the kind of guy that fits that role for us.
And will Le'Veon's ability to be a pass catcher impact Crowder, or you said that you line him up in the slot more than a typical running back?
I don't know if it would. To me, I look at it as a positive. It's another guy to worry about. Really, you go man. It's kind of a man zone thing. Do you want to play man to man? That means Le'Veon's got either a backer or safety on him, which is a good matchup. You want to go zone. Now, Crowder's probably going to have inside leverage with a guy playing soft, the nickel, and now he's able to work his thing. And that gives him freedom on a lot of option routes where he can break out, he can break in, he can go down the middle, he can run deeper corner routes. That's where the ball starts going. You start getting those zone coverages, those middle field open zones. The ball's going to go to either Herndon or Crowder probably.
What do you like about Mosley, and why was he important for you guys?
Well, when we started our process, and I think we were shocked, because originally, you start thinking, hey, there's no way he's going to get out of there. There's no way he's going to get out of there, and when he hit the market, there was a full court press for us. We just felt like he was a culture changer, and he was the type of guy that could help, really kind of lead that charge in the locker room where, the team building starts the right way. Where this guy is, he's been in the league 5 years, 4 Pro Bowls. He's been part of an organization that I think, all of us would say that they've done things the right way for a long period of time. And they've had a lot of great players go through, and that culture stayed the same over, started with Ray Lewis, and it just kept going even after he left. And CJ was a big reason for that. So, we want to be able to start kind of our own deal here where, he was kind of that first piece where, he can lead that defense. He's a quarterback of the defense. And now, Jamal coming along, he's got somebody that he can look to and say, hey, that's how you do it. And I think he's ready. He's kind of at that point where he wants to, become a big-time leader in that locker room as well. And, when I just kind of look at that whole group, I think those guys are excited to kind of get going, playing for Greg and getting that whole defense rolling. Come on, Peter. Come on, Peter.
Oh, it's gonna be quick.
Let's go.
Mosley and Bell, obviously big names. 3 weeks ago, if we told you to get them, would you have said that's a home run, A+? How are we feeling today, knowing that those guys are on the team?
Yeah, free agency is such a tricky thing. I don't know if I would have sat there and thought we'd be able to get both of them. I think there was a shot. I'm excited that we got both of them because it's rare to add two players like that both offensively a game changer and can do so much, and then on the defensive side with Mosley, not only in the locker room but just on the field, he's a great player, and it's kind of a culture changing type move, and they did a great job in the front office of making all that happen.
Going to the front office, Mike and Todd split up. You come in there. How's it been a month in, working with Mike, working with Christopher Johnson, and of course your coaching staff as well? Is everyone on the same page, or are you guys moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's all about us trying to learn each other as fast as possible. I mean, we're in a rat race. We're behind New England, obviously, because they've been together for so long. Miami, they're just getting together. Buffalo's been together now. They're going in their third year, so they're actually ahead of us. So we're trying to learn each other as fast as possible. The coaching staff, we got to kind of break up. It's like I'm running all over the place, trying to make sure they're able to get ready for the off-season program. I'm trying to help in free agency. So I think we've been trying to learn each other as fast as possible. I mean, we try to have as many conversations as possible because we're trying to figure out kind of each other. And I think it went quick, but it worked out the right way in free agency for us. And I think that relationship, we're just going to keep building from where we're at.
My last one, you had the 11th pick in the draft with the Dolphins last year. You met with all these quarterbacks. I know you can't deal with Sam on a day-to-day basis, but what were your impressions of him in the pre-draft process, and now that you've at least had some initial contact, seeing him in the building, does he have that?
Don't you live in New York?
Yeah,
I mean, do you read anything?
That's it. I try to read all these guys.
I didn't evaluate him come out. I'm like disappointed.
I know I should have studied up, but okay. But
no. So I didn't evaluate him come out. We didn't think he was going to get through. We thought he was either going 1 or 3. So I mean, we focused on some other guys, but I think in the few interactions I've had with him, he has something to him. He's got that swagger, and you can see that how important this game is to him. He's excited to get going. I know the last time I saw him was way before free agency, where he was excited to see who we were going to add, what pieces we were going to add, and kind of like how this thing would grow and develop. And I know that him being healthy is really the most important thing right now.
My last one, Robbie Anderson. You had a chance to look at him. What does Robbie Anderson scream to you? Because this is the guy right now that Jets fans are looking at to be the receiving option.
I never had really watched him since he's been in the NFL. I mean, you're peeking at him from the other side of the ball. But I think his vertical speed is outstanding. I mean, that's obvious to everybody. I was really impressed at how he tracks and catches the ball down the field. I don't think I've seen too many guys that look as smooth as him doing it. And, we're going to try to expand his role. We're going to try to make sure that we give him variety. And really it's going to be about setting up that pass, setting up that throw, because he's so explosive. He can create down the field to where all of a sudden it's a 50-yard touchdown instead of, matriculating the ball down the field.
All right, we'll go read his stuff. See you later.
And given the additions that you've made to this point, and the draft is still ahead, but given the additions in-house at this point, is it fair to expect you guys to be in the playoff conversation?
I think it's so hard to predict anything, and here's why I would say that is, and I'm just going off of my experience of 3 years, is you really just don't know how the injury is real. The injury factor into this, to where if you're banged up really bad in December, it just makes it, because you have to play good ball. You got to win your home games, and you're going to have to steal a game on the road in December if you want to have a shot at making that. And if we stay healthy, I think we'll be in the right spot at the end of the year. If we lost a bunch of really good players, I think our probability goes down, because we're in the first year of our program. We're adding a lot of good pieces. I think it's really about creating depth from here on out, to where now, down the road we're saying, hey, if something happens, we got this guy to plug in and this young guy to plug in. And I think right now we're at a stage where we're looking to create depth in the draft. We're still looking to fill some spots. We're building our program, from here. And I'm looking at it as if we stay healthy, we should be in the conversation in December. I mean, that's realistic. We have a good quarterback. We have a lot of good pieces around him. We feel like we've added a lot of pieces of defense. It's all going to be about how we play in that late November, December area. I mean, you're talking about a 6-week span where every team in this league, it's all going to be decided in those weeks. There's going to be 3 or 4 teams that are eliminated already, and everybody else is going to have a shot. And it's just going to be about you take advantage of it. Now I know you're going to take that as.
How do you want me to take it?
Gase guarantees playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
Gase, playoffs are busted. Is that a fair characterization of what I said?
That's not what I said, but you can rewrite that how you want.
Adam, how do you feel about the offensive line? And I know you guys probably aren't done there.
I would say we're a work in progress right now. We'll see how the draft goes. I mean, I just keep thinking the last 3 years, we've added so many guys in that waiver claim area after training camp to where whether it's guys that we've had in the past, whether it's young players that got cut and are moving on and we end up picking them up and we make some changes up front, trades. There's just so many things that can happen. I think we're at a good starting point right now. I think we absolutely need to add because, I mean, we just don't have that many bodies. I mean, we just need to add to that. And, you want to create competition. I mean, that's really what you want to do at the end of the day. You want to try to make it to where a couple guys can kind of feel like that young guy or, second or third year developmental player kind of pressing at their heels of, hey, I got to keep working because this guy's coming up and he's coming behind me and he's going to try to take my spot.
Have you kind of based on the personnel you do have, I don't know how you react as an offensive play caller. You kind of come up with ideas that will suit your offense, and are you kind of letting it percolate where you kind of have an idea of what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's ever changing. Like I'm not a big like, hey, this is what it is, and this is what I've been calling since 2013. Like I'm looking at like, here's the group of players we have. Let's go to work and see what we can do and what's best for that group. Right now it's like we'll start off probably fairly simple because guys are learning kind of system. You want to just teach them the basics, but I mean probably once we hit like that 5th or 6th install, we'll start doing some stuff and putting things into where we want to try some different things with the guys that we have.
And Jameson, Mike McCaglin was talking about yesterday. You love working the slot guy in your offense. I mean, where did that come from?
Well, really, I mean, it's just those two players between the tight end and the slot. Like those two guys have to be the guys working when you're playing teams that play middle field open coverages. You see cover 2, cover 4. That's where the ball goes inside. You get cover 1, the ball always goes outside, and there's a possibility that teams might try to take that away with Robbie because his vertical speed is real. I mean, you see it on tape and the threat that he brings. So balls start getting kicked inside, and it's going to be up to Jameson and Chris to really kind of be in the right spot, win versus the zone coverages, make sure they're good on their option routes. I mean, they have a lot of flexibility in what they're doing, and them and the quarterback have to be on the same page.
And is Quincy, is he somewhat of a hybrid in that he can go outside?
He can do whatever. I look at him like we got to get him the ball. And I want to make sure that we do a good job of giving him variety. I know, I remember when we were about to play him, I know there was some frustrations coming out of kind of like him catching too many screens, and he's the physical part of the game, and we just want to do a good job making sure that we give him the full gamut of route complements, but at the same time we have to do a good job. We have to find ways to get him the ball because he does have a unique ability to catch the ball, run with it, and we just got to probably at some point tell him to get down when he's dragging like 9 defenders on his back because he's a strong runner and he can move the chains.
Adam, do you think, given the pieces you have on offense, I know you said the offensive line is a progress, but given those pieces on offense and the young quarterback, can this offense be described as potentially explosive right away?
I wish I could. I mean, we haven't even had a meeting yet. I want to be able to say yes. my confidence says yes. I just haven't. We haven't done anything yet. Like we literally haven't had a meeting yet to where I've been like, hey, I write. This is what it looks like. You know, like I think we have a lot of good pieces, and I like what Sam showed last year. I feel like he's going to work as hard as he can to make sure that this offense is that and is explosive and is efficient at the same time. It's just so hard to say this is what we're going to be when we haven't done anything yet. We haven't done anything together yet.
When you have studied Sam over the last couple months, what's the biggest difference you saw in the last 4 games versus the first 12 or whatever he played?
You just see just his whole mechanics, body language, just knowing when to be like, this is bad, I'm out. You know, I'm throwing it away, not forcing throws, getting to the check down when he needs to. I think the biggest thing is just the way he was leaving the pocket at the right time. You know, he still got crushed a little bit in that Houston game. There was a couple times where I was hoping I was like, run. But, you know, you could tell he had a different feel. And that was good to see. I think it was good that he actually was able to sit back and watch. You know, and I know everybody was like, play. I think it was good. He got to play. You got to step back. You got to watch. And you got to get back in there. He didn't have you guys crushing him. So, I mean, it was good.
Have you been in, I don't know if you were asked this before, you've been in touch with Josh McCown at all? It seems like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you know what? When I first got the job, you know, I talked with Josh, kind of closer to the free agency. We had been texting, and then I was, you know, we've talked a little bit. You know, we've kept each other we've kept in contact, just letting each other know what was going on. And, you know, his agent, I've known his agent for a long time. So, I mean, that circle, I mean, we've kept it going to make sure that we're all on the same page and there was no surprises. And, you know.
I mean, it seems pretty crowded in your room right now, but you get a sense from him that he wants.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for him. I mean, like he knows where we're at, and I know where they're at right now. So, you know, we'll kind of see how everything plays out and kind of see what happens, you know, going down the road.
Is it fair to say the door's not closed?
No, not with a guy like Josh. The door's never closed.
And then what did you like about Trevor to bring him in?
I think anytime that you can get a guy that's has started games, you know, and even for him, like he had to be the starting quarterback for a team that was, you know, was coming off a Super Bowl, you know, and had a good defense and you know, had to learn a few different offenses and kind of has had some ups and downs. And, you know, I think he's just looking to learn. He's looking to help, you know, a younger quarterback. He understands his role. I do think he's looking to get better. You know, I think he's looking for someone that'll push him and challenge him. And when we hit the preseason, is going to work with him to show off his strengths. And, you know, if we get in a situation and he has to go into a real game, that we had somebody that had the ability to help us win, you know, and we felt really good about him. I've seen him play so much just because when you're in the AFC and we're watching all these crossover games, I've seen him play enough to where, you know, I felt really good about it. And I just feel like after our phone conversation, I was excited to see if they could get that done, and when they did it, I felt good that room was getting stronger.
Adam, what does C.J. Mosley's arrival mean for Darren Lee?
I mean, they play different positions, you know. I mean, it's two different spots. I mean, I know everybody's trying to figure out what's going on and all that stuff. Here's what I know. Like, Darren's on the roster. And when April 8th hits, then we're going to work. You know, like, right now, I know this is how I'm looking at it. You control what you can control. And you get ready to work, and then if something changes, then you adjust. And right now, I know this, like, he's coming in, and we got to go to work. Like, April 8th starts, like I'm expecting everybody to be there, and If the front office decides on something different, then we make an adjustment. But as of right now, like, all I know is I'm getting ready for all the guys that are on the roster right now to be ready to go on April 8th.
What do you expect out of Assembly? What's realistic in his age?
I'll tell you what, we played against him last year, and like I told him when I saw him, I was like, man, you caused us a lot of problems because we ended up having a guy get ejected. I mean, it was just a bloodbath up front. Those guys were going at it, for 60 minutes, and it was hot, and he just kept coming, man. He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy to watch. Like he lays it. He puts it all out there, and playing him 2 years in a row, his physicality is something that you love watching as a play caller because you can run behind him because he's going to move his guy, and I think it's really going to be about him. He's a new system for him. He's going to be. I feel like he's a quick study though. He's really sharp, and just getting his kind of brain wrapped around the offense, techniques that Frank's going to be teaching, and then let him go out there and do his thing because, I mean, he's all about attitude. He's going to set the tempo of that group and, be a big part of what we're doing.
Are you concerned about, well, I shouldn't say that, do you have a level of concern about the summer position?
I'm not in the same place you guys are. One, it's, we're going to keep adding competition and depth to that group. I watched enough last year on Jonathan that I know what he brings to the table, especially his intelligence, his ability to kind of run that group. I was really impressed with. The way that I look at it is that center spot. It's not like it's not 1973 where we're playing every game's a 3-4 defense and he's going against a 360-pound nose. His spot, his job is going to be moving laterally a lot of times and helping guards. We're not going to play a ton of 3-4 teams this year. He's not going to. He doesn't have Vince Wilfork going at him. He has a lot of the abilities that we need in this offense against the teams we're going to be playing this year. And I really saw a lot of good stuff on tape. And we're always going to be looking for our players to just keep improving and getting better and learning from mistakes and learning from experience playing time. And I think that he's the kind of guy that does that. Just and what I've seen on tape and my short conversations with him.
Who's your back?
Dude, we gotta add players. I mean, we literally. How many linemen we got right now? Like, we got 8 or 9 linemen right now. I mean, we're gonna go to camp with what, 15, 14, 15, 16. I mean, we gotta add some pulses.
How much of an advantage is it for you having been through the head coaching process and now using it going forward? I mean, how much more comfortable are you now?
Yeah, it's night and day. It's night and day because, like, you go through it the second time, you just start waving off so many things that the first time you might have been like, what do I got to do here? And what, you try to get involved in it, and now it's just like, somebody else can handle that. I don't need to worry about that. This is what I need to focus on. It's a big difference. Like, I never thought it would be kind of how it feels for me. I never thought that. Like, when I kind of go in the second go around, I never thought it would feel as black and white to me as it does on certain things. And that's, I think it's a positive. Just having to go back through, like, the first time with a voluntary mini camp and, starting early, all those things. It's like we went through all this stuff and, I'm glad we kept notes on what we liked and what we didn't like, so now we can make some adjustments, second go around.
How much easier does that make it for you to focus on the football part of it and just kind of implement your plan and what you want to do?
I mean, it's the most important thing. I spend more time with, coaching staff and just making sure we're rolling on the playbook and making sure we're kind of keeping up with that, and then, interacting with the defense and talking with the special teams, because, like, I'm learning Brant. He runs a different system than kind of what I saw over 3 years in Miami. So I'm just, I'm trying to make sure that, we're communicating, so we're kind of developing a relationship, spending time with the defense. I don't want to get too nosy because I know when we hit spring, it's going to be competitive, and,
I never want Greg to feel like I'm trying to like spy on him and figure out how to win, which I'm sure I'll try to do at some point. But you know, I like going down there with those defensive guys because that group I can see is it's just tight. You know, I mean, those guys are together all the time, and you know they've all worked together. I mean, I think pretty much every coach we've have on staff either worked or played for Greg at some point. And I mean, I don't think you see that much. I don't think you see a group like what I get to see every day. You know, that's a tight group. Fun to be around.
What have you learned about Greg in these 2 months?
I don't know. It's anything that I hadn't either heard or known.
Right.
You know, I mean, I remember like, I've known him for 10 years or whatever it is, 9 or 10 years, and you know, competed against him so many times. And you know, I've respected him as a competitor. I think I enjoy the fact that I walking down the hall and being able to ask him things from a head coaching position, from an offensive coordinator's position, and kind of ask him about things that how he looks at it as a defensive coordinator. You know, it's nice to have somebody in that spot that has sat where you're sitting and dealing with some of the things you're dealing with, and then a guy that's on the other side of the ball that you could say, hey, these are the complications I've had in the past on offense. What's a good way to go about trying to fix those? He just has a lot of knowledge, and I don't think there's a lot of guys in the NFL. You know, Sean McVay's probably one of them where he goes to Wade. You know, he can talk to Wade, and that's a lot of experience there. And I'm lucky Greg's been in the league for so long. I mean, he was with the Houston Oilers. I don't even know if half our fan, like anybody even knows that they had a team at one point.
Adam, how do you feel it's the rules question about the Sky Judge? I don't think that's going to happen in the NFL, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing for me. I mean, you guys don't know this because I haven't done a ton with you guys, but like with all the rules and stuff, it's just whatever they decide. It is what it is. I don't have an opinion about any of that. You know, I'm a fan of. I know it's a game of human error. You know, everybody would love for everything to be 100%, but that's part of the game. You know, it is. It's, you know, we've all won, we've all lost games on, you know, bad calls, missed calls, the right call, the right no call. You know, that's what makes our game great. Is there is a human error element.
Right, but you like referenced 1973 a little bit ago about how nobody's playing 3-4 all the time.
Right.
We do have the technology.
I know, and I think that the right people are addressing things like that, or trying to make sure. The thing that everybody has to always be careful of is there's unintended consequences on everything, and I think what sometimes people don't understand is they're trying to. Like the people in charge are saying, we have to think through everything because now all of a sudden something comes up and they're like, well, we didn't think that was going to come up. So I think it's everything's always thought through and just kind of vetted and make sure that everybody, all that stuff's kind of thrown out there. I don't know what they were. Like you're going like, what could be the problem? You know, I don't know. I can't answer that because that's not my job.
The technology exists.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying there's a lot of games going on. You got one guy doing it, you know. I mean, I think they're always trying to figure out like, hey, how are we going to manage all? Like they got to figure all that stuff out.
You've been around some really good edge rushers, Vaughn and Denver and Cam in your last years. How critical is it for you guys to land an impact edge rusher?
God, Vaughn feels like an eternity ago. Just so you know, like
it
was a long. That was
yeah.
Yeah, he won us a couple games just on freak. I mean, Vaughn was a freak athlete. He was a freak player. Like you just, it's impossible to find guys. I mean,
right.
He's like one every 15 years type guy. Cam was, you know, self-made guy. You know, and he impacted the game quite a bit, especially in the fourth quarter, especially at home. I think you look at our division, and I think you have to find the right guys. You have to find the guys that rush the passer right, because you can get hurt. One, you play New England. How many times have you seen Tom Brady be sacked? How many times have you seen him in sack? Not a lot, right? Like you personally, how many times have you seen him been sacked over
Leonard Williams sacked him
20
once, I remember
years
that.
or whatever, right? And it's not a ton. He gets rid of the ball quick. They have an offense that's what it's going to be, and he's going to do a good job with it. You know, you play Buffalo. Like Josh Allen's a tough guy to bring down. Like you have to rush the passer a certain way. So really, it's about getting the right pass rusher, or getting the right group of pass rushers. So I mean, I don't know if it's really, hey, one guy fixes this at this spot, one guy fixes this. It's just about making sure that we build the model the right way of saying this is how we can go win the division. I mean, that's the key to everything, right? You win the division, what do you get in? You get in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
All right, so that's what you want to try to do. So you have to make sure that you build a team and win the division.
How much longer do you think? You mentioned Brady first. He's 42 years old, so you can't really build.
I don't know, because I wake up and I feel like shit. So, and he's older than me, just so we should clarify that. But you know, he's unbelievable. I mean, I got a lot of respect for him. I mean, just everything he does, the way he takes care of his body. I mean, everything he does in his life is to win. You know, win on Sundays, and he'll do that until the day he stops playing. It's not going to change. And you know, if you ever, to me, I'm glad he's still playing, because I'd rather go against the best. And those two guys right now, they're at the top. So you know, we're striving to work to get there.
You mentioned Vaughn kind of being a one in every 15 years kind of player. Obviously, this draft class has some edge rushers up at the top that people think could be special. I don't know how much tape you've watched on each one, but could you envision?
Not
any
enough
of
to
them?
comment. Not even close. I mean, I just finished free agency. Like I'm just getting into the beginning parts. Like I'm gonna have to go fast, you know, to catch up. And I mean, that's really what it always is for me. It's a rat race to the end. And I mean, I'm working usually up to that last week, you know, right draft week. You know, Mike, I kind of have told Mike how my process has gone, and he kind of understands. I'm always a good tiebreaker. I'm always a guy that, hey, give me these three guys and let me kind of look at those. So, you know, we kind of started that process, and as we go, then I'll do more and more. I just keep watching guys and just keep jumping into meetings, and then go watch some more guys at night and do it the best I can and catch up and watch as many players as possible. I thought, like in Miami, like every guy we drafted, I watched every guy except for one. You know, I mean, Greer was on it, and he had me watching the right guys.
Mike and Christopher kind of both talked about your relationship with Mike to this point. I mean, from your vantage point, how has things developed between you and him, the chemistry between the two of you?
I think we've learned a lot about each other. You know, I mean, we've spent a lot of time with each other. We've, you know, a lot of conversations, a lot of interactions, because, you know, when you first start it, I'm trying to figure out where we are roster-wise, contract-wise, all those type of things. He's trying to figure out what do you need for your system, defensive system, special team, like how do you want to build this thing? So, I mean, we had to have a lot of conversations. I mean, you can't just, like, not have those conversations. You won't get anything done, and it's just going to be unproductive. So we spent a lot of time together, and, you know, we're constantly just trying to learn each other, like kind of how each other think. And I thought, you know, Chris Greer and myself, we got a good spot over a 3-year to where we kind of knew what each other was thinking a lot of time. So I mean, that always happens over time. I mean, that was 3 years. I felt like that the last year. So, you know, we'll keep developing our relationship, and we'll just keep working together, because we'll just keep figuring each other out.
How did you feel about Anthony Barr backing out of Burton?
You know, for me, it's when somebody says, "Hey, this guy's coming," I'm like, "We'll see." I mean, it just is. It's like signing day. Like, "Hey, I'm committing." Okay. What does that mean? You know, I mean, until Wednesday comes and they sign, I'm like, whatever. You know, I mean, it's.
Is there a baseline level of professionalism?
Sure, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, think about it. You're 25 years old, and you're getting a ton of money from 2 different places, and you're committing to some place that you've never been, you don't know anybody. Like, it's just a lot for a lot of these guys. Everybody forgets these guys are 25, 26. Like, where were you at when you were that age? Like, what were you doing? What decisions were you making? You know, I was trying to figure out, you know, where was my next check coming to stay in my apartment. Like, these guys we're talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're trying to make these decisions, and it's a young age to do it. I mean, it's not as easy as everybody thinks, and like I don't look at it as a bad thing. I wasn't like upset to the point where I would talk bad about him. I'm like, no, I get it. I mean, it's not easy, to make those kind of decisions.
Have you thought about what your message is going to be in that first meeting on April 8th?
No. I haven't. I mean, this is the way I look at it. I mean, really, it's going to be about me getting those guys just kind of the lay of the land of what we're looking to do, what we're looking to accomplish in that first phase. And at the same time, just letting those guys know, like, whatever's happened before, I really don't care. And whoever you are from this day, from this moment forward, like, that's who I'm going to know. So you could have been late, disruptive, terrible football player, and when April 8th starts, you could be on time, great in the locker room, and play well, and that's what I'm going to know. Like, whatever you are going forward on April 8th, that's what I'm going to know. That's what our coaching staff's going to know. That's what our front office is going to look at. And to me, it's a fresh start for everybody, because that's what it has to be. I mean, we're moving forward, and whatever happened in the past is irrelevant.
When you look at it, the division with Tom Brady, a league now where offenses are exploding, with a second-year quarterback and a bunch of new players, how quickly do you think you can put it all together to where this offense does what you want?
I don't know. I mean, we need to have a meeting first, so everybody can know, like, what our offense actually is. I mean, it's so hard to predict anything. I mean, we got to go through. I mean, I'll let you know in September or October. I mean, it's just gonna. We just need to get started. I mean, we're talking about all these things, and it's like in my head, I'm going like, can we just go practice right now? Because it's like I'm curious too, because I like the guys that we got on our roster. Like, I'm excited to work with Sam. I'm excited to see Le'Veon Bell and Quincy and Robbie and Chris and I mean, it's just there's a lot of guys, and I'm excited to get going with that.
When you look at all those guys, you feel like you've got the pieces in place to get it all?
I like the group of guys that we have right now, and I know we're only going to add to that moving forward. So that, just like everybody else, that makes me feel like, hey, we got hope to go in the right direction and keep getting better. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, will this team improve as the year goes on? Is there enough pieces to start with to where you can improve as the season goes on?
And do you put pressure on yourself to succeed immediately? You did sign a one-year deal, so there is time in theory.
I mean, for me, I don't like to lose. I don't like to lose in free agency. I don't like to lose in anything. Like, that's just how I am. Like, when we hit the preseason, like, in my head, like, I want to win. I understand that we have a process to go through, and we have to do certain things a certain way for those games. But I mean, that's just like my competitive nature. When we go to OTA 1, like, I'm gonna walk out of that practice, and in my head, I'm gonna be like, did Greg Williams win, or did we win on offense? I know I'm the head coach, but that's at that moment, that's how I'm thinking, that I gotta, like, make sure I do the right thing for the team. But it's just
Pacing yourself though in the summertime,
no. Why?
so you don't get burned out.
I've been all right. I mean, I've been doing.
Not you, I meant everybody, not just you.
Everybody else will be all right. I mean, it's not like I'm bringing them along for the ride on all this stuff. So.
You mentioned being excited to work with Sam. I know you've touched on before not having really worked with a young quarterback like him in the past. Have you had to tweak anything yet as you're preparing for this season because of the fact that he's a second-year guy, or do you anticipate any changes you might have to make?
I mean, we're going to be able. Really, for him, it's just going to be about where do we end up kind of stopping and maybe settling a little bit before we start expanding again. And really, I won't know that until we get going. My biggest thing is just I'm always going to stress to him is open dialogue. Make sure that he communicates as far as if something doesn't make sense, if he feels like something gets too much at some point, of being able to say like we got to settle down here, or I need you to explain this to me different. So really, the open dialogue is always critical for me with the quarterback.
I'm going to get the first injury question on March 26th. Do you know, has anyone been ruled out for the spring? Like anyone that had surgery or anything? You don't know, like Marcus May, Brandon Shell. Do you know if any of those
You know, I
guys
think
they're not available?
I don't want to say officially for that voluntary mini camp quite yet, you know, because I think we got some guys. I think we could be in a situation where we'll be able to do like phase 2, guys will be able to do. I think we might hold them out of the mini camp because we don't want to have any chance for contact. But there's a lot of gray there.
Okay.
You know, so right now I don't want to say anybody's out right now. I need to get back up there first and kind of get the update.
I got you.
Adam, just curious, Robert Kowski retired a couple days ago. What's it like for you not to have to face him now twice a year?
Well, I mean, I already said it. These guys already heard me. I'll believe it when I see it. So, but he's a great player. He's tough to go against. You know, if he's not there, I mean, those guys historically have done a good job of making sure that they do what's right with their offense and put their guys in the right spots. But, you know, he's a Hall of Fame player. And, you know, for anybody, it's still a great player that's not playing.
Going from one division rival to another, is it going to like the Jets? Have you been like, oh, this is what happened in that Jets game last? Like, do you understand things now from a more well-rounded perspective?
It was kind of nice that we went back and watched kind of some of the stuff they were practicing against us.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. It's a different perspective to see if they were on us or if we had been tipping some things off. So, you know, I mean, but I guess it's just we feel like we're kind of just starting over and just trying to get our stuff implemented with the players that we have right now. So I guess that felt too weird for me.
How important Adam is it to bring back the Henry Anderson?
I think, you know, bringing back both those guys, him and McClendon, were important for us. We wanted to make sure that we had good depth and that, you know, kind of in the middle of that defense. I know that was going to be important for CJ, you know, because he's used to playing with some talented guys up front. And we wanted to make sure that we did a good job of making sure that we kept the pieces that we knew. You know, our front office knows those guys. You know, our coaches watch those guys and really, really like them. And so, which is great because when you're going like, hey, these guys are great locker room guys, but these guys are good players, and they're great in that room. So I think the fact that we were all excited about trying to get those guys back. I mean, we were pressing hard to make sure that we got them back. You know, I know the front office was working hard to make sure that they got them back on the contract.
Do you think you did a good job? You mentioned this after you got hired, not to rush through your evaluation of the in-house guys so as to not overlook somebody of quality. Do you think now that free agency is essentially over, that you guys did a nice, thorough job?
You know, I feel like we did a good job of having all the conversations we needed to have. I thought the coaches really worked hard to evaluate our own guys, and then the front office, I think, did a good job of kind of trying to come back and even like almost re-talk about these guys that they already knew, you know, and I know there were some guys that we still wanted to get back and we ended up not getting back because they went somewhere else. I mean, there can always be a difference in contract negotiations, you know, like the player sees himself as you know, a certain number and the front office kind of sees a certain number. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. When a guy goes to another place, it's not always like a terrible divorce. You know, sometimes, hey, you got a good contract, like you can't be upset about it. So, I mean, but I do think that guys put a lot of effort into making sure that we did a good job with the guys that were on our roster.
Adam, around the league, you do have players holding out, players trying to get out of contracts or guaranteed money, things like that. How does that affect a team dynamic and player loyalty?
No, I haven't been in too many of those situations, so it's hard for me to say. I think a lot of times players look at it as when that's going on, it's, you know, that's part of the business. You know, and I think everybody looks at it different, I guess. Every player is different as far as how they look at it. And a lot of the guys that I've ever talked to have always been like, hey, business is business, and this is what this guy had to do to do what he thought was right. So, you know, everybody's got a different opinion on it.
How do you feel about what you have at corner right now?
No, I think that's always a position you're always going to try to add to. You're constantly going to be drafting guys and signing guys and looking for guys on the waiver wire and stuff like that because they're hard to find. It's hard to find corners. You know, it's like defensive ends. Everybody's looking for defensive ends all the time. So I think you're always trying to just keep building, creating depth. I think Brian Poole's a good example of. At least we feel good. We got a guy at that spot, that nickel spot. So now it's hey, where are our backups, or what are we going to do? As far as adding depth, at the corner spot. I think it's you got draft, and possible trades, and you got waiver wire.
What did you think of Roberts? I mean, he got some exposure last year.
Yeah, I mean,
Trey was hurt.
He was a guy that he was a priority for us. I mean, they worked on that. Seemed like for a long time, trying to make sure they got that right, got him back. The variety's rare. I don't think you see a guy that can play that many spots, and then have special teams value. He seems like the kind of guy that he's like, what do you need me to do, and I'll go do it. Which is it's awesome to be around guys like that. The fact that we got him back and he wants to come back and he likes that group. You want guys that want to re-enter the locker room and kind of be part of it, get it going again.
How has your offensive philosophy kind of evolved to where it is changed and altered?
It's different as a head coach because you do, like when you're just the offensive coordinator, at least my job was to score as many points as possible and then follow the direction of the head coach. So if when Foxy would say, hey, this is what I need you to do, then we did it. But outside of that, it was just like call the best plays you could to try to score, and that's what we did. When you're the head coach, some different thoughts creep into your head a little bit, like making sure that you're doing the right thing by the defense and where are we doing special teams. It kind of makes you can call it a little different. If your defense is struggling, you might slow it down, or you might call some less risky plays to try to make sure you occupy the clock. I mean that can happen, and there was probably some times in Miami where I was trying to make sure that we were playing complementary football, and I felt like that's why part of that was all three phases were trying to work together, and we communicated really well, and I feel like there was some of the reasons why we won some of those games. I mean, we're 20-6 in one-score games over 3 years. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
Adam, is there any trepidation of letting a Pro Bowl kicker walk out of the building? We talked about all these other pieces, but if your kicker does not come through for you, that can really screw things up.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I feel like we were in a good spot with we had two guys that Brand felt great about. The special teams guys felt great about. I think it was, we're in negotiations with Jason. It just didn't work out. I know, but I mean but like you don't know all the details of what's going on in conversation with negotiations and stuff like that.
No, I meant the kicker you currently have did not have a good season.
Right, but I mean it was the same thing with the year before with Jason. He comes here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like our special teams guys feel good. They will always want to keep the guy that they had, and then, it didn't work out with us, and then Catman ends up coming on board, and, they felt great about him because they've worked with him before. They know him. They know kind of how they're going to work with the long snapper and the punter. It's, they got a good system to where they felt good about him.
Just a couple more.
Who's your, on paper right now, who would be your returner? With
That's a good question.
Thanks.
We'll leave it at that. No, we'll that's going to be one we're going to have to work through, and we still got a ways to go. You might not see Brand for like months.
What do you like about Bellamy, and what can he provide inside the room?
Is it Bellamy?
Yeah.
I love Bellamy. Bellamy's one of those guys that can play all three spots at the wide receiver position. He's a really good special teams player. This guy's never had a bad day in his life. I just promise you that. Like, this guy brings juice all day long. You talk about a guy that loves hitting the practice field. He loves being in meetings. He loves being in the locker room. Like, he loves playing football, man. And he's infectious. Like, you see Josh, and if you're a coach, you get juiced up because you see, like, he infects everybody. And he's one of those. He is a fire starter, man. Like, the year I was with him in Chicago, he was one of our starters. I mean, this guy was a former DB. Caught 6 balls in a game, and that was the most he had ever caught in his life, including high school. So, I mean, I learned what a competitor he was. I learned what a worker he was. I mean, this guy he is a self-made guy. Like, he has made himself into who he is at this point in his career. I mean, he's a fun guy to coach, and guys love playing with him. You know, I'm excited to just be around him again.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Ward, what's up?
Thanks, Adam.
All right, guys.
Enjoy.
All right, how we gonna do this?